And also to give us more perspective in terms of what has, of course, played out so far since the counting of the votes has begun. We're being joined by Ms. Rehman, who's a journalist, and she's joining us live from Lahore. Now, Ms. Khan, these elections are as crucial as they get. But as things stand at this moment, it appears that the independent candidates backed by the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf have quite clearly emerged as the single largest bloc. Are you surprised at how well the PTI-backed independent candidates have done?
Not at all, thank you. I'm not surprised at all. I think they're not all PTI-backed independents. There are a number of independents who or which are not affiliated with any party, and they're also up for grabs. So I think that just before the polling day, I tweeted and I predicted that the single largest party would be the independents. I think that this is by design. Perhaps a lot of people would say that. And I was listening to Anas and yourself as well. And I think that the problem has been so far that the journalists or the analysts have been a little bit more clued up than Nawaz Sharif himself. And only until yesterday, when he went to the polling booth, voting for one of his allies, he was questioned by a journalist and about a hung parliament. And he point blankly, categorically said that that's not what they're looking for. And in fact, he said, please, for God's sake, don't say that. We can't afford a hung parliament. We want power. We want power in the center. We want to be making some strong, empowered decisions. And of course, in a hung parliament, you do find yourselves a little bit limited. There are constraints. You have your hands tied. You have to appease everyone, all the parties and all of the actors who are part of the hung parliament. And this time, if they're independents, and mind you, if these independents are affiliated with PTI and they have agendas which are constantly clashing with those of Nawaz Sharif, then it could be a very, very difficult run. I didn't expect, and a lot of analysts here were expecting Nawaz Sharif to let go of power and perhaps offer it to others. And I think that might have been a wiser decision since this is going to be a very difficult, very, very tricky situation to get everyone on the so-called one page. Shahbaz Sharif, of course, is more likely to get some success because he has better relationships with Pakistan People's Party. I know for a fact that Shahbaz Sharif and Bilawal Bhutto enjoy a far more cordial relationship than Bilawal Bhutto and Nawaz Sharif. So we could be looking at Shahbaz Sharif sitting in the Prime Minister's chair, and I don't think he enjoyed the last 18 months of the PDM government, and this is going to be even more trickier because it is looking like too many cooks spoiling the broth already.
I think it's interesting that you're pointing out that this appears to be a clear case where the PML-N may have to work with the PPP all over again. I'll just come to that in a bit, but at this moment, I want to dwell a little bit more upon what Imran Khan must be thinking at this moment. As a cricketing captain, he said that he does not give up until the last ball is bowled. But with the fact that the independents have now emerged as the single largest bloc in the Pakistani National Assembly, what do you think would be going on in Imran Khan's mind?
That's a bit difficult. I know what's going on in our minds, and we are thinking that had he been a little bit more emotionally mature, had he been a little bit more politically savvy, had he shown a little bit more restraint and handled things democratically, politically, and opted to speak with the opposition or with those in government after his oust back in 2022, things could have been very different. He wouldn't have been languishing in jail as he is at the moment. So I hope that there is a period of reflection and introspection, because even though these independents have picked up the vote based on that skipper's fame and celebrity following, I'm not entirely convinced that they will toe the line that an ousted and a jailed leader is expecting from them. So I think that these independents they might be PTI affiliated up until the day of the polls, but I think that PTI voters and the skipper might be in for a surprise of where they go, who they opt for, what are the choices that they make, because they're all looking for a home. This is not a party. This is not PTI. These are independents, and the rules that apply to a party do not apply to an independent. because clearly that he or she is an independent. So I think everyone is going to be in for a surprise, and it's going to be a little bit of a chaotic mess.
I think that of course, is something that we'll watch out for the course of the next 72 odd hours. Now, my final question to you, Ms. Khan, is this. Now, before the election, a lot of people thought that, with the convictions going against Imran Khan, a lot of people thought that this is an election that the PML-N is quite clearly the front runner. Do you think PML-N's optimism was misplaced? And do you think that these elections have again shown that Imran Khan still continues to be the most popular leader within Pakistan?
I think there are two things here. I think that Muslim League known Nawaz Sharif, particularly because he's had 3 stints at it, shouldn't have fallen into the trap that Imran fell into. Imran was a newcomer to politics. I mean, I think that Nawaz Sharif and Isaac Dar, they've been there for a very long time. So for them to fall into this trap of expecting to be the Ladla is quite odd, because they've been here before. We know very well that in Pakistan, the Ladla is forever changing, and there's no one who is a perpetual Ladla or the chosen one. So I think that Imran's popularity, of course, has been hijacked by these newcomers, these opportunists. Most of them are lawyers who have jumped at the opportunity of getting a ticket. They would never have dreamt of this opportunity to sit in the parliament. And I think that Imran's party has been hijacked. That is, of course, a valid point you make, that at least for Imran, he is not provincially specific, as in the voters do not see him specific or limited to one province. And that, I think, a lot of the leaders needed to develop. Bilawal Bhutto is beginning to develop that. And he's tried to make an inroad in Punjab, but has been sadly defeated in NA 127. But that's something that I think we can learn from Imran. Shehbaz Sharif is not welcome in Karachi, and Bilawal Bhutto seems not to have impressed the Punjabi voter enough. Right. Similarly, I think that many other leaders are very, very restrained by their nationalism, and restrained or constrained, rather, because of their rhetoric. Imran has managed to capitalize the fact that he does have a presence in all 4 provinces. But again, I hope that he's realizing his mistakes today, and that the ego is parked for some side. Maybe there is a lesson to be learned. Nawaz Sharif is back after 6 years of incarceration and exile. Right. And he's back with a chance to sit in the parliament. And hopefully, maybe in the next few years, 6 or 7 years, Imran gets a chance to reflect and maybe is guided by his voters and supporters, because really today's winning vote has been the fact that PTI voters have actually shown a lot of ability to discern between opportunists and those who have been long-term party workers. So they have made the choices, the correct choices, that maybe the leadership should have done a very long time ago. In fact, they've gone as far as rejecting those people who were disloyal to the party leadership, and Imran particularly. And that, I think, is something which the PTI voters should be respected for. And I hope that the skipper can learn a few lessons from his cult following. I think you've summed it up beautifully, and it remains to be seen as to how many of these independents, as you say, will continue to remain loyal to the PTI. Thank you very much indeed, Ms. Rehman Khan, for joining us and getting us that perspective. Thank you. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.